All right, if we were the Three Stooges, who would be who?
That's you supposed to told Chat GPT skip. You should have told. You should explain the audience to Chat GPT.
I never really watched the Three Stooges.
That's what I'm saying. I ain't watching.
Did you watch them?
I did.
Okay, I'm sure you did.
Hey,
Well,
man.
it doesn't.
Hey, relax, man. I caught that.
And break Tiffany on, man. Stop playing.
All right, let's bring Tiffany on. Give a great introduction, Unc. Do something. Yeah.
Man, my favorite, man, the incomparable. I call her the voice. I'm gonna tell you something, Chico. Let me tell you how you know something about folks.
Okay.
What do people say about them when they're not in the room and they can say whatever the hell they want to say about them? You only hear positive things about Tiffany Greene when her name is mentioned. Lights up the room, brings into the room, ain't a hater bone in her body, consummate professional at what she does. I don't care if she's called an HBCU game or a WNBA game. You're going to get Tiffany Greene, the one and only Tiffany Greene. Tiff, how you making it, sis?
Thank you so much. I love that introduction. I appreciate it. It kind of gave me goosebumps. I was like, oh, thank you. Because I have a tremendous amount of respect for you as well, Neely. And fellas, I just want y'all to know that Uncle Neely is just as equally that consummate professional. I love hearing his voice. Although Chico gives you a run for your money, though. But I love hearing your voice. I love your insight. I wish, quite honestly, we could have worked together on ESPN with you doing sideline reports. I'm just going to be honest. But I'm thankful to watch your ascension and all that's happening that's good in your life.
I appreciate that, Tiff. And I don't know if the world knows that came close to happening once upon a time.
It did.
Yeah, like
It
that could have happened. And let me say this, fellas, to chat out about Tiffany Greene. And sometimes you see this in the comedy space. So you have like these comedians, right, who came up through the ranks, doing shows in small clubs and working on their craft and paying the dues 20, 30 years, and bam, here they are. And then you have guys who took, by no fault of their own, the internet route, because that's what they were blessed with.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you get the old school hating on the new school. One thing I love about Tiffany is like, she don't care how you're in the space. She's going to help you in the space. Like I've seen her spend time with people who were bigger than her, smaller than her, with like, she's going to open her heart. And you don't get that in a lot of industry people, no matter what the industry is. Like, it's going to be rare that a dairy farmer helps the new dairy farmer. But when the dairy farmer realizes that's not my competition, we all need more milk drinkers. Let's work together. Tiffany Greene personifies that, man. Straight up, for real, for real.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Preach on that. There's always room. There's enough room for everybody to eat. And if everybody would take that approach and understand that, we could help make each other better and be better. So, yeah. Appreciate that. How y'all doing? I'm so excited to be on. I have a limited time, but like, it's kind of like Neely asked, hey, could you come on for the 100th show? And I was like, Lord, I'm running, trying to make 100. I know 99 and a half may not do, but I'm hoping that my time here today on the 99th show, the prequel to that 100th show, I'm happy to be on here for that.
Well, we couldn't have a better guest for the 99th. And how it happened, you're going to be covering FAMU's homecoming down there. You like, I'm going to be on a I was like, Tip, we ain't no need to be trying that. Like, you know how people get home.
I just wanted to be honest. I was keeping it all the way because I was at your homecoming.
Yep.
Last weekend. And Jackson State folks, they had plenty to cheer about. Everybody called a sigh of relief. Sigh of relief. But what a fantastic game. That was the HBCU game of the year. That was one of the games of the year. It was an excellent game.
Yes. So, first African-American woman to serve as play-by-play commentator for college football on a major network. Can you talk about how you got your start?
Well, kind of like the dairy farmer who kind of tilled the soil and reaped the harvest over time. That's my story. So I started out in local news. I was a part-time production assistant, moved my way through as a one-man band through local television for the first 10 years of my career. And I was just trying to hustle on the side and find any and every nook and cranny and opportunity that I could to do what I really wanted to do and was passionate about, which was sports. News was my conduit to that. and it helped me to tell really great stories in the process. And when I was able to flip over to the sports side, I kind of was able to blossom from there. So I did a lot of different things in local news, and then was just raising my hand like, yo, but I could be a sideline reporter. Yo, but I could do play by play for volleyball, whatever it was. And then made that kind of full transition over in 2012, and then 2015, ESPN hired me full time to do just that.
Did you ever feel any pressure? So I was doing a little research, and I found out your dad was the first Black news anchor in Tampa.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel any pressure to fill his footsteps as somebody who's also been doing historical things as just like you did?
Yeah, to some degree, he was always pushing us, right? You're only as good as your last story, and it's never enough. So he was the guy who, by the time that I was, 4, 5, 6 years old, he was off television, but I would always hear about, oh, Dale Green, your father. I remember your father on TV.
Mhm.
So there was already kind of this name to live up to, not just with my dad, but also with my mom. They were really, strong pillars in the community and still are. But he would always take me to, at the time it was the Sombrero, but Tampa Bay Stadium, let's go interview, Coach Tony Dungy. Why don't you give your opinion and write to the editor at the Tampa Tribune about what you think about the Bucks? Or when we go up to FAMU's homecoming, why don't you sit down and take the time to, try to interview coaches? And so he was always a huge driving force for me. And I was that person who just never wanted to let them down. I wanted to keep the legacy going. And so my parents, my grandparents, are huge reasons of why I'm here today, because of their investment in me, but also their example.
Mm.
Right? They made me want to be better. So I wanted to meet where they were or exceed where they were. And so now my dad is like, oh yeah, we're Tiffany Greene's parents. I was like, no, no, no,
Yeah, that's
I'm still
hard.
Dale and Patsy's parents. I mean,
Yeah.
kid. That's what I'm always gonna be. And I feel like that little girl still, no matter what, no matter how old I get or what the Lord has allowed me to accomplish, I still feel like I'm just proud to be their daughter. So
Man, that's amazing.
I love your WNBA story and your coverage there, because now the league, not that it hadn't been big before, but it's starting to mushroom again
yeah.
and starting to grow exponentially. But you have been in that seat when it wasn't the cool seat.
Mhm.
And now everybody wants to talk about WNBA and cover games. Talk about your WNBA experience.
It's been fantastic. I love it. It's a league that's primarily made up of Black women who are just badass. They are ballers. They are elite at what they do, both on and off the court. So my raising of the hands was right around 2019 or in that bubble area, or was that 2020? And so it was the Wubble down here in Bradenton. I got the call to say, "Hey, you're close by. I know we're still in a pandemic. Would you go down there?" Quite honestly, I had just had my, first son, and I was pregnant with my second, and I didn't feel comfortable doing it. So that's when the live from home concept formed, and I was one of those first experimenters, if you will, with that concept, where we got every feed that we could on our computer, and that's how we called games. So that
Mm.
2020 season, when they were down here in the Wubble, or 21, I guess it was. I was able to call games for that entire season, and that was such a tremendous blessing. And then going on site, obviously, there's nothing quite like it. And when you witness the greatest players in the world, when you have your Sue Birds and your Diana Taurasi's or Asia Wilson, who is my goat next to Maya Moore, you have it is wonderful to get in on something and be a part of it when it's still burgeoning or still growing. And it took a long time for the NBA to be hot and where it is now. It had to go through its iterations before it is. So I think that the WNBA is a lot further along, quite honestly, than the NBA in terms of its start to now.
Yeah, Tiff, I am only a spry 54, and I can remember when NBA games weren't live.
Hmm.
And so, like,
Hmm.
you're exactly right on that bell curve. Like, it's going to happen. We had a discussion the other day about to go for the WNBA or women's basketball. We put Cheryl Miller to the side since she didn't play in the league, but it was
Hmm.
Maya Moore and Asia for us.
Yep. Hands down. I mean, Maya Moore won 4 championships. How many times MVP? You know, like she's won at every level. So I remember when I was in Savannah, Georgia, that was my first television market and local news. And she was at Collins Hill High School. And I got to cover state championships in Georgia and watched her. And I was just like, and I was a baller and hooper myself. I knew that I didn't have those level of skills and I wasn't going to make it to any other level than where I was. But for me, she was just a winner everywhere that she went. So her story for me is she excelled at UConn, and UConn is UConn. And for all the people that they put out, Maya Moore, I know we give love and props and no disrespect to, you know, DT or Sue Bird, but Maya Moore was just exceptional in my eyes. And then she decided to be like, nah, I'm gonna step away. You know, it's kind of like the way that we felt about Barry Sanders when he left the game, when he still felt like he had a whole lot to give and was just like, I'm going to something else. And she got called to a greater purpose and passion. And I wholly respect that. That led the way and opened the door for an Asia Wilson, whose story continues to build. And at the right time that people are really willing and wanting to consume women's sports and the rise of women's basketball. You know, Stewie is another great story. Sabrina Ionescu, we tied to Caitlin Clark, obviously more in the forefront page, but it was Asia. And then Asia connected to Dawn Staley, and then I don't know. And Asia is like, I don't get really excited about meeting a whole lot of people in our industry because you got to let that go a long time ago if you get starstruck about, oh, that's so and so. But Asia Wilson is a woman that I fangirl over. I'm like a legit fan, and I get to call her games. And I'm like, but you're doing so many amazing things. And she's my soror. Shout out to the lovely ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha. So I think that she has this culminating effect, much like LeBron does, right on and off the court, where her legacy will carry in both spaces.
Yeah.
Right. Who are some of your GOAT commentators out there, and some of the people that you might have worked with that kind of gave you that starstruck feeling?
Okay. So I grew up patterning myself or watching Pat Summerall and John Madden, and really not for Pat Summerall, but definitely for John Madden, because he was just such a entertaining and exciting kind of commentator. And I was like, well, he gets to be himself. So I loved that component of him, much like Harry Carey was on the baseball side. Hey, everybody. You know, I would watch Cubs games all the time. I was a huge baseball fan growing up, thanks to WGN, the superstation. But I admire people like, I think Adam Amin is fantastic. Bob Costas is exceptional. Robin Roberts, I know she did it for just a short period of time, but I think any and everything that she does touches and is excellent. I'm probably missing like Marv Albert. Like, who doesn't know? Yes, like the guys who had those sticks, right? Those catchphrases, those lines.
A spectacular move.
Spectacular. Kobe Bryant is the consummate professional. I could just hear the broadcast with him and Bill Walton afterward. But anyway, yeah, so those are some of the people who I look in the business, and I'm not saying everybody's name. I'll be honest with you. You know, Beth Mowens, more of a now voice as well, has been a great help. But I'm gonna tell you also the ability to work with your, you know, Candace Parkers, or, you know, I was a Bucks fan and a Florida State fan, so Warwick Dunn back in the day when I was kind of starting out. Like, there are a number of people that I've gotten a chance to interact with and work with. That's been just an honor. But it's people like LaChina Robinson and Angel Gray and Chinea Gwumake and Andrea Carter. I'm giving my basketball gal some love, who are just doing the damn thing and are just making it so possible that we can continue to exist and be great in this space.
Tiff, along those lines, let me ask you this: who's your first person or memorable one, whether you interviewed them or work with them, that you were kind of taken aback and had to gather yourself because they knew who you were?
Okay, so I'm gonna be, if I'm 100 transparent,
Keep it 100.
I don't see myself the way other people see me.
Understood.
And that is a really humbling thing. But so I was on the phone with Pam Oliver. I remember watching Pam Oliver on Fox NFL Sundays all the time.
Yeah.
And she happened to reach out to me through someone because she went to FAMU as well. And I remember, like, as a student, when I got to FAM, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get to meet Pam Oliver. I still had the picture. Like, I can pull up the picture real quick. And I got to meet her. And all these years that we had kind of been existing in the same space, we never really talked a whole lot. So she reached out when she saw me on First Take earlier this season, and she was just like, oh, you did an excellent job. And then I happened to call her when I was in Atlanta, and that was my first time in almost 20 years. And I was just like, hi, I just want to say congratulations on your Hall of Fame award. And she was like, Tiffany, I just got to say, I love listening to you and listening to your games. And I watch your games. And when I hear you call, I don't hear a woman's voice or a man's voice. I just hear someone calling the game. And I was just like,
And that's why I call you the voice.
Pam Oliver.
Pam Oliver. I mean, she and Robin Roberts are a big reason of why I'm sitting here and have always believed that I could do it, because they made me believe.
So if I got to tell you two for me, and I don't know if they could be more complete opposites, but Mark Jackson, the New York Knicks Pacers fame, and Mr. Brown from the Mud Deal movies. Like two separate games, they were on the sideline, and I walked over to them to do an interview. And before I could introduce myself, they told me who I was, and I was like,
"Oh snap!"
I was like, man.
Okay.
But like you said, you got to play it cool. You got to like.
Absolutely. Did you drop though, Mama? There go that man. When you were interviewing? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I closed you with that.
It's only right.
Yeah, I closed you with that.
Yeah.
Hand down, man down.
Hand down, man down.
There go that man.
Go that man.
That's a good one.
So, yeah.
Tiffany, I heard you mention your basketball game, but I want to talk about your bowling game. How did you get into bowling?
Man,
and really for a guy who's kind of still a beginner, what's the best tip that you can give me so I can be maybe in the 120s, 130s consistently?
Well, I always say just go for the second arrow on the right.
Okay.
I know that sounds so mundane and dry and basic, but just go for that. Because usually, depending upon the oil of the lanes, they're either forgiving or not, but you're going to get somewhere close to the pocket. And I don't know if you like to try to spin a house ball, if you got your own ball, whatever the case may be. But the reason why I got my scholarship to FAMU for bowling, even though I had an academic side taken care of, was because I was going in the bowling alley for like enrichment programs during the summers at FAMU. And I walked in, and that's what I was using to hustle. Honestly, I was a pool shark, and I was making money on the bowling lanes because I was like, "Oh, come here, I'll bowl. I'll play with you on the pool table," and that's how I got my little extra change. Well, the guy who was running the bowling alley also happened to be the coach, and Title IX had just kicked in, where that was then made a sport.
Oh wow!
And he was just like, "Hey, will you roll a game? I'm in a tank top. I'm in some sandals and a skirt." And I was like, "All right." I bowled a game. I probably bowled about 150. I don't know what it was. And he offered me a scholarship on the spot. So I was the middle of the lineup, right? I had a white yellow dot. That means it's not going to do too much on the lanes. But I was a strong 9-pin bowler, maybe, occasional strikes, but I was always going to pick up your spare. So I was going to always close my frames. That's the most important thing. Just close your frames. But I also almost lost my husband over that because we were engaged and we were supposed to go bowling. And he was like, "I don't really want to do that." And I was like, "Come on, let's just do it. It'll be fun. A little date night." And I whipped him 3 games in a row. And then we didn't talk for about 3 days, but we were able to mend fences,
Right.
So bowling,
but
I started doing it as a young kid. I was in bowling leagues and just for fun, just as an activity, but I always enjoyed it.
Wow.
Did you give him a rematch and throw a game so you could feel better, or you just apply pressure like, nope?
I'm just not that person.
I know you're not.
I like to win. I want to be gracious in my winning.
Yeah.
But I want to win.
That's tough.
I'll tell you another thing I love about you, Tiffany Greene. I love people that love their people and love their stuff, right? Because it reminds me of me. I see me in it because I love the way you love FAMU. I love the way you love and celebrate your heritage being Black. I love the way you love AKA. Like the stuff that you touch, I don't think there's anything about you where you half-ass do anything. Like when you're in it, like you do it.
I want you to know that this matters to me. Like this, you set this up. This is a serious matter. When things do come about, this is a serious matter. I can't help it. But yeah, this means something to me. I'm gonna be honest with you all. I get asked all the time, well, Tiffany, you should move up. You should be calling bigger games. Like that matters to you. That should matter to you. You should want to do that. Certainly, it's really cool. And no offense to Kansas State, but I'm probably not going to get as excited about it as I do Southern Jackson State or FAMU Bethune-Cookman. I just feel good where I am. And if I'm promoting that these young men that I get to cover on the field are worthy enough and good enough to make it to the highest level at the NFL, I would like to be that same example in the booth. Like, it's not that, look, I'm here and not many people would think that I would be here. So let's, continue to knock down doors and break ceilings and try for more. HBCUs matter to me. I'm a fourth generation Rattler. My parents instilled it in me. That's what I know. That's why I bleed orange and green. Legacy, tradition, those things are important to me. And I think that I thank my family. I thank my family and friends for instilling that in me because that's what makes me want to go hard. Again, like wanting to uphold the standard. Coach Prime always talked the standard is the standard, right? You want to uphold the standard. I love y'all. And then in this, that standard is I think I'm a little late for my next coach's call. Sorry.
Tiff, we got to have you back on.
Yes, I would love to be back on. I appreciate y'all. I thank y'all for taking the time. And happy 100 tomorrow.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
Hey, y'all be well.
Appreciate you.
Tiffany Greene.
Man, the voice, Tiffany Greene, legendary. You heard her. She's going to come back. We had blocked off some more time for her today, but she had coaches calls coming. Just Chico, Dukes, we know in the industry, they may not know outside the industry. When you got a game coming up, you have what's called production meetings.
That's right.
And so when you hear Louis Riddick calling the game, he says, yeah, and I talked to Coach Prime the other day. They really do sit down and talk the other day. Like they'll spend about 30 minutes to an hour, just getting game notes from the coaches. So when they do the broadcast, they got stuff to talk about beyond what's happening on the field. So she had two of those pop up today, but still found the time to join us for about 15 minutes or so. Excellent to have her on, and I promise y'all we will have her back for a more extended conversation because she has a lot of layers to her story, man.
Yeah, that was a great interview right there. Thank her for coming on, like you just said, for joining us on TMR for the 99th episode. The first African-American commentator on the major sports network like that. That's Tiffany Greene. Very appreciate her. FAMU in the building. Shout out to FAMU, man. My uncle who went to FAMU wanted me to go to FAMU so bad. He said, now if you go on a visit, your ass ain't coming back now. I said, Uncle, I don't know if I should go on a visit, Uncle.
Chico, I'm going to tell you this, man. Y'all see this right here now.
That's right.
Y'all don't know how this almost didn't happen.
Oh, yeah, you told me that story.
I was on the way to FAMU. That's where I was going to school because I wanted to, quote unquote, leave home like everybody wanted to do. And they had a larger than normal freshman class that would have been fall 88. And they sent letters to everybody saying, hey, if you come as a freshman, you can't bring a car. And you have to stay on camp, blah, 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 And so that flipped it, to